The title of this video should be called Life is Fragile or In the Water or something like that. Now this video is actually about a friend, a fellow Spiro, an active member of the community, Didrik, who, and mate, I probably pronounced your name wrong again, but he went missing Wednesday the 23rd of June in a diving spearfishing incident. Now the reason I knew I was going to make this video is because earlier this year I went diving with Didrik, and I've been diving with him before. It was a good time as usual. He's a weapon, he's a great guy to dive with, and I really enjoy my time with him. And as you know, when I make these videos, they're often later than when I film them. And for whatever reason, not because I was posting the video anytime soon, but I just messaged him quite randomly saying, hey mate, you know, have you got those clips from the day, you know, send them through, because he loves sharing, or he loved sharing photos and videos on social media, and he just had such a passion for spearfishing and freediving and wanted to share those. So he was, you know, really keen to get his experiences out there more and more. So I messaged him, and he responded on Monday night, the 21st of June. And I don't know why I thought to message him on the Monday, the 21st of June. I think it was in the morning I messaged him. Completely random, just spur of the moment. And I don't believe in fate most of the time, but there's a weird coincidence that he then went missing on Wednesday, the 23rd, the morning of. And he sent through the footage on the Tuesday, the day before. And I have this footage now, and it makes me think I should share it because of how bizarre that coincidence is. And of course he would have wanted me to share it, I'm certain of it. And I hope his family and friends can watch this and see more of a full video of him doing what he does best, and I really mean that. And again, this is something I wanted to shy away from, to turn away from, to avoid. But yeah, often that's the important things. So here we are, just ran down to the beach and was like, I gotta do it, man. So where do we start? It feels special to be able to share those clips for Didrik. And I've spoken to his roommate and his family about doing this and what they thought about it. And they were happy for me to do it for a number of reasons, to share them, for them to see the footage and to raise some awareness about, you know, what led to this. So let's settle in. But can we still see me? Yeah. What better place to do it as well than by the ocean? Didrik, as I mentioned, went missing on that Wednesday and wasn't retrieved, but he's definitely resting in the ocean, the place he loved the most. So I need to rewind back a little bit. I first met Didrik in 2019.
This is Didrik.
Saw him as a really passionate, lovely guy. Just, it would be pretty hard to imagine him not getting on with someone. And I think I got some clips.
It's a verdict. Murky. Didrik v Amberjack. Who won?
Yeah. He comes straight in front of me, just a couple of meters. I was like thinking about, should I do it or should I not? And I got a bit hungry, so I shot it.
Go. Oh my god, that's epic.
Actually hurts.
Does it actually?
No, it doesn't. It's
Like it's a bit scratchy?
Yeah.
I guess you have to go upwards to get it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good mark when you
Yeah. Damn. Oh wow. Yeah, it's got teeth where it's like holding in. Yeah, you got a little remora kicky.
When I met Didrik, he told me a bit about his past. You know, he'd moved from where he lived in Norway with his family there. He told me that he was in the military over there and then wanted to find a way to study marine science and also find a better place to dive, because he was diving bloody in the snow and in the ice over there, doing some absolutely insane stuff over there, diving with orcas, sperm whales, under ice, you know, all that stuff. You know, he was keen on diving if he's, you know, diving in less than 0 degree water to do it. So Didrik ended up moving to Brisbane to, pursue marine science and, spearfishing and what Australia holds. When I met Didrik, he was eager as. You could see he was just one of those guys who's really naturally gifted divers, just chomping at the bit to get out there at any opportunity. And I think for all of us, spearfishing and freediving can come very much of a wholehearted obsession, and I think Didrik really represents what that is. He's pretty much his whole life, when I think about it now, as reflecting on the drive here, was dedicated to freediving and spearfishing. Studying marine science, spearfishing multiple days, working out and exercising in a way that's going to increase his diving, pool training, his work at Diver. He started to work in the spearfishing kind of freediving sector. Where he chose to live in Australia was dictated by good spearfishing, and that is what spearfishing is in a lot of ways. It is an obsession, and it's a great obsession to have. And it's tragic when that line I started with in the water is horribly true about life being fragile in the water. Unfortunately for all of us, that obsession comes with risks, and we've got to be acutely aware of those risks every time we go in the water. And I want to say, Didrik was aware of those risks. I remember the first time diving with him, the first dive. It's like, yep, buddy dive. And this is not something that happens often between divers. Often 2 divers or 3 divers will jump in the water and they'll swim each separate ways looking for fish. But Didrik was the kind of guy who, I remember him saying it before I could say it, buddy diving, yeah, you're going to watch me, I'll one up, one down, all that kind of stuff. So he was practicing those things that a lot of people don't practice. Really important that you do build that into how you dive. And because he was a diver like that, he was a good diver. He was fish smart, and he was responsible and would look after me and vice versa. He was someone I wanted to dive with, and hence why I hit him up again and again to go out diving when I was around his area. So the last time I went out diving with him was in earlier this year. Before I get to that and the clips, I want to talk about what happened on the 23rd of June. But essentially on that day, he went out diving with some fellas who he hadn't dove with before, but we were competent divers, good divers. The skipper, Anthony wrote up a bit of a story on what the day went like, but it sounded like it was a pretty good day out there, and they got out there and it was really fishy, which comes with its risks. We all get wrapped up in the excitement of fish, especially when that's the goal there, right? That's what we're chasing. It's important that we lay down the context and the foundation that we don't know what led to Didrik not resurfacing that day. There's so many factors that play out. Just speaking to his roommate the other day, about him being, say, tired the night before and having trouble sleeping the night before, which is very common for all of us before a dive, that's for sure. And then getting out there and it being really fishy out there. Then after that, he apparently shot a big mackerel, like 20 kilo odd mackerel, fought that, and apparently in that fight, he had some issues with being a bit low on oxygen, hypoxic. And when we're low on oxygen, we can get this thing where we lose some motor control. So otherwise known as an LMC or a samba. And essentially this is like the earlier stages before a full-blown blackout. And so that happened to him. But again, as long as there's someone around, this is not fatal. It's only fatal when there isn't help around and we're in the water. It's getting dark now, but we're gonna push on. Having a samba, although it isn't a blackout where we've fully lost consciousness, it is something that we really want to be concerned about. And Didrik did have a rest in the boat, apparently, was boaty for a while. And then after some time, a bit later in the day, decided to head in for a drift with some of the guys. Apparently they were diving along the reef, and towards the end of their drift, Didrik, went for a dive towards the deeper end of the reef and, didn't resurface. Which is just crazy, man. Again, that's one of those things you just have you push out of your mind. You just think it's not going to happen to me or to someone I know or to a friend or to a dive buddy, but it bloody does. I remember when it happened, like, he's just someone who's just so full of life, I remember just feeling so upset about, how much he had installed for himself. And not to mention, such a bloody good diver, so naturally good. So, folks, so it really can happen to anyone. We've got to be careful out there. On that note of a samba, you might take the righteous road and go, oh yeah, I wouldn't go in if I had a samba. Well, you don't know how you would feel. You might have that in mind, oh yeah, I wouldn't go in. But you might subjectively go, oh, I feel okay. I feel all right. And that, even though you might righteously say, I wouldn't go in, I hope this can be imprinted in your mind to just never do that. And I want to be a bit transparent here that earlier on in my diving career, I did have a samba, and it was in a spot where it wasn't very deep, but there was a lot of current, and I had some issues with a big fish that had gone into a cave. And on the surface side of samba, had a mate there with me. He caught me. It was okay. And I subjectively felt quite okay. Felt very, very fine. This was towards the end of the day, and it was many years ago. I don't remember if we kept diving. I have to ask Josh. But I know that if it was earlier in the day and if the conditions were good and if it was fishy, at that stage in my diving, I think I would have dove later on in that day. So yeah, we can take the righteous route, but it's very different when it's you in the moment. So, I hope that hearing this, talking about this and thinking about this can serve as a bit of a message to and a rule to just never do that. Later in my diving career, you become more conservative and such, but who knows how I would have reacted to that. So I can say with absolute certainty that I will never dive after having a samba, and I will be out of the water for the rest of the day, and so will all the guys in my boat if that happens. But I really don't want to suggest that was the issue and the cause of him blacking out, because it's so much more complex than that. There's so many factors at play. He was, he was diving in current, lots of current that day. It's quite deep and dirty and all that. So, there's so many factors that all come together. So Didrik, mate, I can promise you, I will never, and you can keep me honest, I will never dive after any complications like that, and I won't let anyone in my line of sight dive either. I can assure you that. And man, you've been with me in my dives recently, honestly. Been diving the last few weekends. It's been in lockdown, and almost every dive I think about Didrik, and that's no BS. I really do. So you're keeping me safe out there. Now I don't want to talk too much more about the sad stuff, because Didrik was someone who was so full of life and so passionate about diving. As I said, he dedicated his whole life to it, and he's much more of a diver than I ever was or probably ever will be. One more note, I guess, before I go on is we really need to signpost this idea, and I heard Ryan Myers talking about it on the Noob Spiro podcast, that often the most dangerous part of your spearfishing career is when you start to get good. You start to get comfortable below 20 meters, and you've got these newfound abilities. And I'm not speaking about Didrik here in his case, because he was comfortable much further than that, but I just want to make a statement more generally about a really risky time is that time when you're starting or have just become quite good at what you do. That's where the real risks are, and I think about that in terms of my time diving. I'm lucky to be here with how I've been complacent, and I want to be really honest about that, and that would be attributed to that, to getting reasonably comfortable with diving. So it's really important to check yourself And now I really routinely try and check myself, you know, and I encourage you to do the same, man. A couple of hashtags out of this, man. No more C after LMC. Hashtag no more C after LMC. If you ever have an LMC, hashtag that, man. Spread the message. Life's fragile in the ocean is another statement that I'm trying to use to check myself. All right, I know it's dark and you can hardly hear me, but let's keep going. As I said, I want to bounce away from the hard stuff because Didrik was someone who was so positive, so full of life, brought a lot of passion to the spearfishing community. I think the spearfishing community and more really hurt for his loss, even if they didn't personally know him, because of how passionate he was about what he did. So let's all take a bit of that passion towards what we do out there and be as safe as we can whilst doing so. So I want to share some special clips from a day early this year when I went out with Didrik, and obviously this is more long form. I really want to just freeze Didrik in time and, you know, put him on here on the channel and just keep his legacy alive, you know. It's been tough watching these clips sober, but it's been good. Got out with Didrik and Nathan here, and it's not the best day out, but I'll let Didrik tell you because he's a local. So yeah, how's the water been?
Yeah, the conditions are pretty average, and we got the upwelling current, so it's going north. That's a bit weird. Yeah, diving today has been good.
Yeah, cool.
Find some fish and mackerel spin around, but didn't get close enough.
Man, okay, I just got to say, like, the amount that Didrik had improved and progressed since the first time I dove with him was just astronomical. So confident in the water, such a great diver. He's, you know, I remember a couple dives in, just straight down to 25, really comfortable. I'm watching him, he comes back up. I'm like, geez, okay, I'll get down there, but I need a bit more of a warm up than that. Yeah, he was a really naturally talented diver, feeling real comfortable in mid-30s, and that's pretty impressive for someone who hadn't been diving, you know, for a very extremely long time. Now, the first fish here, he sent me all the clips from the day, but he had a look over the gold spot clips when we spoke about it and said, nah, they're too revealing for, you know, the underwater terrain. It's too revealing of where he found it, because, man, he was a savvy guy. He'd found his little honey holes, and mate, I couldn't believe it. He said, oh, I'll jump in here, I'll get one of those and I'll jump out. Did exactly that. So you knew he knew his stuff.
Yeah, they are around all over, like from close shore and out to the reef.
Yeah.
You just have to find them.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's something he's not telling us because he dropped right on one. The exact honey hole was a bit too obvious in the video, so didn't want me to share it, and bloody oath, mate. Of course I'm going to respect that. But one he was stoked for me to share was this jewfish. So yeah, just enjoy. I'm just going to roll this out. Absolutely beautiful fish. Very excited for you to check out that footage. Thanks to Didrik. I've shot some jewfish in the past, but I've never shot a deep water jewfish, and that's definitely on the wish list. So cool to witness that here. So thank you. Just enjoy a dive with Didrik. I hope you can really feel him here and who he was. And
så skolen
That's sick.
Such a beautiful fish.
That is very golden.
Det er også skolen.
Oh, really?
If you open ski. Yeah.
Did they spook? That's the question.
They spooked off.
Yeah.
And that one came back.
We got just us filleting up at the end of the day, and hopefully you can hear a bit of his passion for diving and for what he did.
14.45.
Yeah, I went 14.45. So bigger than we thought. He's definitely fat and tall. Great fish. Is it your PB as well?
No, my PB is 15 now.
Okay, cool.
So.
Thanks for coming out today, man. It was good.
Yeah, perfect. Meant to be, I reckon.
And it's really cool to see how much you've kind of improved and how far you've come.
Thank you. From last year we were standing here.
Yeah.
Actually 2 years ago. Or like 2019 was it?
Yeah, I reckon.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, you can tell how much of a special guy he was by, you know, the love and the support from all his mates who lived up there and who knew him, you know, a lot more than I did, and the search efforts that went into trying to find his body. And they did a pretty epic on-water memorial. I'll share some photos right now of that, and you can just see how much love there was for him in the community, and rightly so, eh? He was a legend. I spoke to his family and his roommate, and they originally organised a GoFundMe when this first transpired, and I donated that then. Sorry, I donated to that then, and I didn't know if it was still open, but they said it's still open. So any AdSense from this video is going to be donated directly to that fund. But this is more of a call out to you guys to say, you know, if you have any spare change or you want to donate to support his family during this extremely difficult time, then anything would be appreciated. I'll put the link in the description. Didrik, that may be the last video I have with you and for us all to watch, but you'll always be out there with me. So thanks in advance for looking after me.